welcome to the Business and Bubbly podcast. This is the place for women in business who are on the journey of building their big ideas and want to have fun along the way. It's for those of us who also know we aren't meant to do business or life alone. Hi, I'm Charity Majors, your host and the founder of Business and Bubbly. Think of this kind of like the can I pick your brain chats that you've always wanted to have with those who are doing epic things, plus business besties, hype girls, and getting into massive action towards your next big idea all in the same place. Oh, and bubbles, because if you're not having fun along the way, you're not doing it right. Together, we'll unlock what it means to be seen, known, heard, and championed all along the ups and downs of entrepreneurship and being a woman in business building big dreams. Each week, I'll bring you a quick sip business tip, as well as interviews from top experts that make you feel like you're getting bottle service for your business. We're having the raw and real conversations and chatting about all the things, the messy middle, the pivots, scaling, the good days and the bad days, because here we do real. It's where we can work hard, play hard, cry it out, and dance it out all at the same time without being judged. This is a place where we are in the arena together and we are each other's biggest fans because most of us have enough comments from the cheap seats. It's where our too much is par for the course and where the gaps of our not enough are filled in by the other epic women that are around us. It's where we can be unapologetic about the mission we are on, about the big dreams on our heart, and the business we are building without having to be perfect or have it all together, or even pretend to. It's a supportive community where business is being done amongst like-minded women, because when money gets in the hands of good women, great things happen. It's a place where you have the support around you to get out of your comfort zone and go after your big ideas, because even when you fail forward or when you reach the top, you know it won't be alone. Also, if you know anything about me, you'll know that I'm obsessed with creating platforms that lift up other women to be seen and heard and known. So with that in mind, I'd like to invite you to list your business on our directory called Find Women in Business. All you've got to do is text the word directory to 833-231-8098, and I'll text you the link back to get your free listing. This is also a great way to connect with other women in business from around the world, so definitely check it out. And now let's get to the good stuff. Grab a glass of your favorite beverage, Prosecco, bubbly water, or whatever your flavor is, and let's dive in. Are you with me? Here we go. Hey sis, welcome to the show. Excited to have you here today. I'm your host, Charity Majors, founder of Business and Bubbly. And today we are chatting about a really fun tool. It's a budget for business growth. It's a budget for business growth. And as we head into not only the end of the year, but obviously 2023 is right around the corner, I want to make sure that you guys, as modern women in business, are getting amazing resources, not just to like sustain where you're at in business and not just to like be in your business, right? Like not to be a solopreneur that just has another job that you're tied to, but to actually really get these higher level concepts of projecting for growth and budgeting for growth and planning for growth. Because I know if there are so many women in business, I mean business owners in general, right? Small business owners who are what we like to call like accidentalpreneurs. And don't get me wrong, I have totally been in this space, and it's something that I have to continue to remind myself that I'm not in and that I'm working towards like outgrowing that. But like the accidentalpreneur is like someone who's like, oh, I really like making macrames, or oh, I really like working with Canva, or hey, I'm kind of good at social media and now people are like asking me, like want to pay me for it. And I guess I could just like do this thing. And then they like throw up a website and people start paying them, right? Like but they don't really know what it looks like to grow and to scale and to plan for growth and to allocate a budget. And they just kind of pay themselves like, oh yeah, I like got this client, so I'm just going to like pay myself. And I don't really know what that looks like. And so these are the accidentalpreneurs that we love. Like I've started so many businesses like this because ultimately the market will tell you whether or not they want your thing, right? And at the same time, once we know, okay, the market says yes to this thing, now we want to be really, really intentional about it. And how do we plan for growth? And how do we project? And where the heck does the money that I'm bringing in, where does that even go? Is it all just like go back into a paycheck and to me and I pay myself as the solopreneur, accidentalpreneur, or how do I actually allocate this money, but not just to sustain, not just to like have another job, right? Because as entrepreneurs, as women in business, like we got into this thing to be able to like have control over our time and to be able to like be with our babies or to be with our friends or with our spouses or to like really have like the freedom that we desire. But if we aren't understanding that we need to allocate our resources for growth, our revenue for growth, then what we actually end up doing is just creating another job. And we end up just like, now I'm an entrepreneur that works 60 and 80 and 100 hours a week. And now I just have another job, but I'm just telling myself what to do. And all my clients are telling me what to do instead of me actually having like the growth in mind and the projections in mind and the team in place and the understanding in place of what it looks like to get out of this accidentalpreneur mindset and into projections and planning and working towards and taking the steps for growth. Okay. So I'm going to go over some really fun numbers. And this actually comes from one of my mentors, Chris Harder. If you haven't heard his podcast, go for it. He's got a really great episode with these numbers as well. And he's talked about this in other masterminds and in the mastermind that I was in with him. And his podcast is The Chris Harder Show. Like, highly recommend it. He's got a really amazing high-level mastermind for those that make over $500,000. And he was going over some of these numbers. And I love, love, love these because I remember when I first heard this concept where it was like, these are the numbers that I've been looking for. Like, what does it look like to actually like plan and to project revenue and to like allocate revenue for growth, right? Not just to like continue to stay a solopreneur, not just to like, oh, well, I guess like this is just how much an assistant costs and I'm like, they make more than I do or that, right? Like I guess this is just like the cost of doing business and I make $5 an hour working on Canva, right? Like when I heard these numbers, I was so excited. And as I've been working them into my business, then what I want to pass them on to you, so that you can start to understand the power of what it looks like to budget your revenue, to plan a budget for actual growth, okay? So I'm going to go over these numbers again. These are from Chris Harder, so check out his podcast for sure. He's one of my favorite resources when it comes to business growth and money mindset and all this fun stuff. And so these numbers are coming from, so this is like for the small business owner, for the solopreneur, for maybe you've got, a few people on your team, a few assistants like I do, and you really want to plan for growth, right? So this means that you are no longer in the space of wanting to stay like you want to scale. Like you don't want to stay necessarily like in your business. You want to be on your business. Like you want to be like the vision caster, like maybe like, like the creator, that type of thing. You want to be the leader and you want to grow into the leader that you know that you're being called to be. And what this looks like is leadership is actually getting things done through other people, right? And so this means that a part of our budget has to be allocated to those different things that get things done for you so that you're not in your business anymore. Or as much as in your business, okay? So what this budget looks like. So you're going to actually set your revenue goal, okay? And when we're talking about revenue, what this actually means is that this isn't necessarily like you make $100,000 and you pay yourself $100,000, okay? This, like, the revenue is the money that comes into your business, and then you as the boss of your money, as the boss of your business, right? Like a lot of times I think people, first of all, money becomes the boss of them if they haven't necessarily learned how to allocate it or where to allocate it. So my intention and hope with this episode is that you learn that you are the boss of your money and you get to manage it, you get to direct it, you get to tell it where to go, versus it coming into your life and it telling you and limiting you with what you have options for, okay, right? Because that money is just a tool. And when we learn how to allocate it, when we learn that we are the boss of money and it's not the boss of us, then things can radically shift. So when we're looking at our revenue goal, so say you have a revenue goal of $100,000, maybe it's $250,000, maybe it's $1 million. What you're actually going to do is you're going to take this revenue goal for your year and you're going to allocate 10% of that into mentorship, okay? So this is like mentorship. This is your personal growth. This is like your mindset. These are like different events that you might go to. This might be investing in a coach. This might be a mastermind. 10% of your revenue goes into mentorship, because as you come up against blocks in your business, as you come up against things that you don't necessarily know how to do, as you come up against different concepts, even like this budget for business growth, right? When I heard this from my mentor, I was like, this is like worth $1 bazillion because this is going to help me scale and grow, right? So you're going to learn the shortcuts. You're going to learn the inside tracks. You're going to learn the insider secrets when it comes to business growth when you invest not only in yourself, but obviously in the right mentor, okay? So 10% of your revenue, of your goal, 10% of that goes into mentorship. 25% of your revenue for the year goes into your team. Now this could be employees, this could be your independent contractors, this might be your accountant, this might be right, like even your QuickBooks account. This is going to be for like the team, like the people, the systems in place to be able to help you not be in your business, but to obviously outsource. Okay, so this could be a social media manager. If you have employees, you have contractors, you have assistants, that type of a thing. These are going to be the people and the resources around you that you can outsource that help with systems. Okay. The next part of your budget. Now, obviously these are rough numbers, like as you adjust as you need. Like one girl in our membership in my mastermind right now, she runs an entire aesthetics clinic, right? So her number for team and employees is a little bit different because that literally is like who runs the team, right? Another girl, she's got a really big products-based business, and so her budget for costs of goods sold is a little bit different. So obviously adjust as you need to as you're doing these. So these are just kind of general guidelines, right? So we've got the 10% of your revenue goal goes into mentorship, 25% goes into your team, 20% goes into your marketing and your growth. Okay, so this one was really important to understand because, right, like if your goal is to make $100,000 and you're like, all of a sudden I gotta spend $20,000 like on ads or PR or exposure or growing my audience, like audience acquisition. Like, yes, and here's the difference is that this is actually like no matter what product or service you eventually offer or pivot into, it can all be solved. Like any revenue problem can be solved by a big enough audience, okay? So you want to make sure that you're maybe not necessarily even after the first couple years of business, you're making more money, you've got a bigger budget. A lot of times the businesses that are thriving, they're not necessarily the ones that are paying themselves more compared to spending more on audience acquisition. Okay, that's lead generation, that's pouring into ads and funnels and PR and exposure, and they're buying audiences and they're buying people's attention and they're getting in front of people and they're working on this audience and client acquisition, and they're pouring more and more money into this part of the budget. Okay, so at first it's going to be 20% is going into your marketing and your growth chunk of the revenue goal. And again, that's for your ads. That could be Facebook ads, Instagram, YouTube. This might be PR. So maybe you're paying for different publicity spots. Maybe you're guest blogging. Maybe you are hiring on a publicist or a person to pitch you onto podcasts. These are like the places of exposure that you are paying for. and the client and the lead generation to grow your audience. And then I loved this one is the fourth part of your allocation of your revenue goes, is 5% into surprises. Okay, so this could be like a bad surprise, like something comes up and you like, you're, if you'll get this reference, like your pet's heads are falling off. If you have ever seen Dumb and Dumber, go see that movie. It will make you laugh. That's what that reference is for. If you got it, you're my people. We should be friends. Anyways, so right, these are for like the bad surprises that pop up, which they inevitably do, right? We're entrepreneurs, we are women in business, so we are small business owners. Things happen, right? Like the whatever on your company vehicle, I don't even know. This is for like the bad surprises as well as the good ones, right? Like this might be, maybe you want to, there's all of a sudden this last minute opportunity for you to go be able to speak, or all of a sudden there's this incredible event that you want to go into, but you've already allocated your 10% of your mentorship into the whatever, and you know that you have this little nest egg of stuff that you are able to take either, like choose, okay, good surprises, bad surprises, how do I allocate this money, right? So that 5% goes into surprises, and then what you actually live on, you pay yourself, is about that 40% of the leftover revenue. So if you know your goal for the year is $100,000, you want to hit that 6-figure mark, then you're going to be living off of that $40,000, and the rest is allocated towards the growth of your business. And here's the thing, right? Like you could for sure adjust these numbers, you could for sure pay yourself more, but that will, it will inevitably actually just create more of you, like more work for you. And these aren't adjusting that number will actually cause not necessarily the growth that you're wanting in your business. And so you're just going to continue to kind of hit the same ceiling over and over. You're going to kind of hit the same revenue goal, like the revenue ceiling over and over. You're going to somewhat just stay like a solopreneur that might just be kind of struggling and working 60, 80, 100 hours a week type of a thing. And so when you actually understand that these numbers are projected for growth and for growing and scaling, then you're going to be okay with living off of the 40% of the revenue and allocating the 60% for growth. Okay? This is how businesses grow. It's not necessarily by at first paying yourself more. It's by investing in business growth things and people and systems and teams that do more of the work for you. Okay? So obviously, again, adjust as needed, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Because these numbers, I know for me, like as I've began to work these into my business and adjust things and adjust budgets and allocate things, like some of it was uncomfortable and some of it is like, okay, I'm going to do that for, like Q2 or Q3, like, right? Like we want to make sure that we are savvy and smart with our business, with our finances. But once you start to understand the leverage that these numbers can help you create within your business for scaling and for growth, then that's going to be huge, okay? That's where you're going to start to grow. Now, one thing I do want to invite you to is if you are loving these numbers, like, right, these numbers are great, and at the same time, we are going to be holding each other accountable to these numbers in the next round of our Get Down to Business Mastermind, okay? Now, this mastermind, these are our 90-day sprints, and we kick it off in January. We've got our in-person meeting in February, and we go through Q1, which is going to be so fun, with holding each other accountable to these numbers, as well as the different income-producing activities that small business owners need. You get access to a full digital vault, all sorts of fun stuff, but it really is the accountability. And if you've heard this concept before, it's called the power of proximity, right? And this is where we get down to business with the other like-minded women in the room that are making the connections, that they are having the higher level conversations like this budget, like marketing, right? Like everyone in the room, like you're like 1 or 2 degrees of separation from someone that has an answer for what you're going to need for the next level that you're wanting to get to. So if you're wanting info when doors open for our Get Down to Business Mastermind, all you've got to do is text me.
Okay, we're working on building and sustaining six-figure businesses. So this next round of our Get Down to Business Mastermind is all about the numbers. It is all about scaling, and it is all about being the CEO, like six-figure, get it? CEO, of your business. And we're going to be going over training concepts, and there's monthly calls and all, like, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. So if you are wanting kind of insider access first for when doors open, then I want you to text me the word CEO, like six figures, right? So that's CEO, and then 3 more O's, like $100,000 or $500,000, right? So CEO, to 833-231-8098. That's 833-231-8098. You'll get put on the list first. You're going to actually get access to early bird tickets when doors open first. And this is going to be a really highly curated room of high achieving modern women in business who are building, sustaining, and scaling their six-figure businesses. Okay, so this isn't necessarily for everyone, and that's okay. But you know that you're ready to invest in the mentorship and the growth of yourself, because maybe you're tired of being the solopreneur. Maybe you're tired of always hitting this financial ceiling of $70,000 or $50,000, or, like right in there. And you're like, okay, I know that what I need to do is invest in myself and get that other perspective, those other those shortcuts, those tips and those tools that have helped other people scale and grow their business. Maybe I need the one connection that can get me to get me on this thing, on this podcast. Maybe I need the one connection in the room that is going to give me this, perspective on copywriting. Maybe I need the one perspective or the one connection on someone that can connect me with this other person. And that's what this room is curated for and is all about. So again, all you've got to do is text me the word CEO, to the number 833-231-8098. We've got our in-person mastermind as well as our online stuff going on in between, a 90-day sprint kicking off in 2023 to help you build and sustain and grow a six-figure business. So that's what I got for you today. Work on this budget for business growth. I would love to hear your feedback, so come hang out with me on Instagram at Business and Bubbly, or my personal brand, which is Charity Majors. And I would love to hear how you're either going to implement this, or if you want the accountability to actually be held to these numbers, as well as the budget for business growth. Like, again, not just keeping you where you're at, but you want to be in the room, you want to be connected with other high achieving women, and you know that you need the mentorship and the group and the network and the connections to get there, then this is for you. All right, my friend, have an incredible day. As always, cheers to your success, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. I hope it brought some value and some fun into your business and life. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, and even share the episode with a fellow business bestie who will love it. It helps us continue to attract top-level guests and reach more and more women who are on their journey in business just like you. Remember that when money gets in the hands of good women, great things happen. Cheers to your success.